Good morning. Today is Wednesday, January 11th, 2023. Isn't that wonderful? We've made it to a new year. I'm still 29 years of age, and this is the Streets, Traffic, and Refuse Committee meeting. It is called to order. Madam Clerk, would you please call the roll?
Alderman Vaquero,
Present.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Boyd,
Present.
Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Evans,
Present.
Alderwoman Schweitzer, Alderwoman Peel,
Here.
Chair Tyus,
Present.
Alderwoman Howard.
She's excused. She's not
Okay.
going to be able to attend.
Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Schweitzer. We have 5 present. You have a quorum.
Okay. We have a quorum. The next order of business is we have to approve the minutes, and we have 2 sets of minutes from December the 7th and December the 14th. And I would entertain a motion to approve the minutes of December 7th and December 14th.
So moved.
Second.
Madam Clerk, we have a motion and a second. Would you please call the roll?
Alderman Vaquero,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Bosley, Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Alderwoman Schweitzer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Peel,
Aye.
Chair Tyus,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderman Bosley. We have 6 aye votes.
By your vote, you've approved the minutes of Wednesday, December 7th and Wednesday, December 14th, 2022. Our next order of business are board bills for review. Alderman Vaquero, I usually, since I let the people who are not on the committee go first, is there some place you have to be that you need to go first this time?
No, I just want to make sure we get this done today. That's all.
We're gonna get through it today, okay?
Okay. Hopefully nobody else leaves on us. I worry about a losing a quorum.
We're not losing our quorum. If it looks like that, I will recess and come back tomorrow. We will get it done.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, I see you have your hand up, Alderman Gross.
Yes, Madam Chair, I do apologize. I have a very quick other Zoom meeting at 10:30. So I'm gonna hop off, but I shouldn't be too long and I'll come back on.
Do you want us to just put you at the back, or do you want to go now?
I don't think I have time to go
Okay.
now. So if you can put me on the back, I'll be back on.
When you come back, we'll let you hop in, okay?
All right, I appreciate that. Thank you.
All right. Sorry about being late. That's my
Oh,
fault.
no, it's okay.
Right.
No, thank
Okay.
you.
Okay, Alderwoman Davis, I don't think it's going to make it here today. So Alderman Page, I think you're up. Okay,
Yes.
Alderman, just a
thank you.
minute. Alderman Page has board bill number 150. Madam Clerk, would you please read the introduction?
Board Bill number 150, introduced by Alderman James Page, pursuant to ordinance number 70333, as amended by ordinance number 71394. The proposed bill directs the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on certain blocks in the 5th Ward.
Okay, Alderman Page, you are recognized to present board bill 150 before the committee.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Board Bill 150, as originally introduced, I do have an amendment that I need to bring before the committee as well. Should I do this all at one time?
Yes, we will do it all at one time. Do we have
Yes.
that amendment with us also?
Yes, it is in the drive.
I must have
And it
missed that.
is-
Oh, can you hold on just a minute? Because I missed that one.
Sure thing.
Okay,
It's amendment number 1.
all right. I'm going to it right now. I got everybody else's. Let's see. Board Bill 150. Oh, I did miss it. I'm so sorry. I'm
That's
I'm
okay.
getting it right now.
Mhm.
something beeping. I don't know.
Okay, I have it. I'm just talking to you. I had turned off my speaker because I didn't want you to hear all that noise from my printer. All right, we will handle your amendment at the same time. We have before us Board Bill 150. I'd entertain a motion to bring before us amendment number 1 to Board Bill 150.
So moved.
Second.
Okay. Previous roll.
Yeah, previous.
row.
Sorry.
Objection.
Oh,
Okay.
Someone
Madam
new.
Madam Clerk, please call the roll.
Alderman Vaquero,
Aye.
Alderwoman Howard, Alderwoman Boyd,
Aye.
Alderman Bosley.
Aye.
Alderwoman Evans,
Aye.
Alderwoman Switzer,
Aye.
Alderwoman Peel,
Aye.
Chair Tyus.
Aye.
We have 7 aye votes.
By your vote, you affirmed that amendment number 1 to Board Bill 150 is before us. So Alderman Page, if you would present both what your original board bill and what the amendment is, please.
Yes, the original board bill, thank you, Madam Chair, and members of the Streets Committee. The original Board Bill 150 is the framework for my speed hump, so traffic calming board bill that I submitted. And I have appended amendment number 1, which outlines the streets, blocks, intersections, whatever were appropriate specifications of where I need these traffic calming measures installed. So that will end up with Board Bill 150 as amended. And I would ask favorable consideration and do pass recommendation on Board Bill 150 as amended.
Madam Chair, do we need a second for that?
I'm sorry, hello?
Do we need a second?
Hello?
Uh-oh.
Hello? I'm sorry, something's going on with my email. I'm sorry, my internet today. Did you finish? I couldn't hear you.
Yes, he's finished.
Yes, I finished my my opening statement.
And Mr. Vice Chair, are you here?
Yes, ma'am, I am.
I've been having unstable internet. If I get kicked off again, will you please just pick up and keep continuing so I won't slow everybody down, please?
Yes,
Thank you.
ma'am.
All right. Does anyone on the committee have any questions of the Alderman from the 5th regarding his speed hump bill?
No.
Anyone at all? Anyone not on the committee? Okay, then I entertain a motion that we pass out Board Bill 150 as amended
I will
with
make,
a due pass recommendation.
I think Alderman Bosley made the motion. I'll second the motion.
Okay,
Previous row.
any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 150 as amended is passed out with a due pass recommendation. Okay, the next person we have is Alderwoman Walker. I don't see her. Alderwoman Walker. And Alderwoman Keys, I don't see her. Okay, so I see now I have to send them reminders. They're new alder people. I usually just send this committee a reminder. I see I'll have to send them reminders also. So then we will go back to, we don't have Keys or Walker here, or Alderwoman Davis told me to move her stuff back. So we will then go to Alderman Vaccaro, Board Bill 82. See, we had plenty of time.
There you go. Let me scooch up here. So I actually have a committee substitute, which everyone should have in their drive. So it would be, I'd like to make a motion to put Board Bill 82 committee substitute in front of us for discussion.
Thank you very much. I'm gonna pay you for doing my job. That's all right. But you know, is anybody else in front of, I just want to stop for a minute, in front of Alderwoman Peel's,
I know, it's driving me crazy.
it's driving me crazy. It's flashing, flashing, flashing. I thought it was only me.
Okay, so you see that too.
Yes,
Okay,
I saw that and kept hearing a beeping noise, so.
right.
Oh, I don't know what it is.
I will log out and log back in.
Thank you, because I'm like starting to have a reaction to that.
I know. It was bothering me.
I didn't know you guys saw it too, okay.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll wait for her to come back, okay?
Okay. And I'll wait for you to entertain a motion.
You know, you know, you can
Just
always help me.
excited, you know, just excited to see everybody.
I am too. Welcome back, everybody. Missed you.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah, too.
My favorite alderperson, the alderman from the 3rd Ward. I want to just say again, I probably may not be here if it was not for him. When I passed out on the Zoom meeting, the alderman from the 3rd Ward was very good and making sure he got the fire department over here at my house. I mean, he is a hero to me. So anybody who comes for Brandon Bosley, who's attacking him unfairly, I'm going to be coming for you. That's what I want to know. And yes, I'm talking about you, St. Louis American newspaper. Let me just be clear. Okay. You don't know what you will do if somebody comes after you and you think that your life is in danger. And so the least of it is what language was coming out. What I saw was the young man that I know who is a good person who went back to check on a person who he thought was putting him in danger. And I don't know if I would have been that good, okay? Part of me, I might have backed up and said, oh, did you get hit? Okay, no, I wouldn't do that. But I'm just saying, it was, he's a kind, good, gentle man. And I appreciate what you did, because we don't know what we'll do. At any time, you could be stopped at a stop sign or a stoplight and somebody could approach you and you don't know what your reaction is gonna be.
Alderwoman Peel is still doing it.
Yeah, I just saw that it started again.
So can I
Are you
make
on
a
a computer?
suggestion?
My monitor, yeah, I don't see this on.
My whole computer went blank. It's black.
Okay, you need to come back, Alderwoman Evans, and Alderwoman Peel, what I was gonna suggest is that it stopped now, Phil,
It just
right?
stopped.
It stopped now, but if it starts back, just close it until, just close your camera until it's time to vote, okay? We'll just have to do that because it is just like.
It looks like it's buffering. What you probably need to do, because are you using your phone or a computer, Alderwoman Peel?
My laptop.
The laptop. That's what I would think. It seems like your storage is pretty full or your cache is full. If you clear those out, like if you go in your history and your internet and clear the cache and clear out some of your history, that should take that off of there, because it's playing catch up. It's recording everything, and then it's trying to process all that information, and your processor either is full, your RAM is full, or that cache is full and is not able to process all that information quick enough without you seeing it.
All right, I'll go look into that. Thank you.
I actually know
Okay.
what he's talking about. I want to tell you, I actually empty my cash about once a month or so. I'll go in there and empty it so that that does not happen. So I feel honored that I know what young people are talking about. Okay, Alderwoman Evans, did you get your computer back up working?
No, I'm trying. Can you hear me?
I can
We
hear
can
you
see you and
fine.
hear
We
you.
can see you and hear you.
What?
Maybe you turned something off. But no,
Oh.
because your camera is on, your mic is on, we can see and hear you fine.
Well, I can't see anybody.
Press your power button one time.
My power button. Okay.
Your laptop, right?
Can you hear me now?
Yes, but you froze.
Now you're frozen. yeah.
Okay, now let's see what I can do.
We see
You
you
can
in
see your screen now, right?
Okay, I do. Let me see if I can get in with you guys.
You are already in.
We can see you. Your screen is on.
I
You
can't
probably need to pull
see.
the tab up. Look down at
I
the
need to
bottom
say
of
that
the
again.
screen. You need to pull the tab up. Look at the bottom of your screen and hit zoom.
That Zoom camera.
It's like the bottom row. You got a few tabs up. I can kind of see in your glasses a little bit.
Yeah, it says Zoom, it's in the bottom.
Okay. Now I can see you guys.
There we go.
Okay, you owe him a afternoon lunch or something, okay?
Not
And
a
I'll go in
problem,
half
not an
with you.
issue, because I like to eat.
Oh, there it is.
I'll go in
That's
half with you. Okay, I'm
Young
sorry,
people.
Alderman.
a
Young
treat for all
people
of
and
us.
technology, young people.
That's right, and we need that too. We
Yeah,
need to be
we do.
updated.
He is very
Updated.
smart with that.
Okay, I'm sorry, Alderman Vaccaro. So I'm gonna entertain a motion that we bring the committee, you have a committee substitute, okay?
It just because I'll explain it, but
Okay, you didn't do an amendment, you did a committee substitute,
I
right?
just made it as committee sub, figured it was
Okay.
easier.
Okay, so for purpose of discussion, we need to bring Board Bill 82 committee substitute before the committee. I entertain a motion that we do so.
I'll make a motion.
Second.
I'll second.
Previous
Previous
row,
row.
previous row.
Any objections to
Lord.
previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 82 committee substitute is before us. And I want to tell Alderwoman Boyd, every once in a while, you're doing the same thing that Tina was doing. So this is-
Yeah, I just saw that. I'm saying, what's going on over there?
I
Right.
said, I'm gonna have to have. I don't know that like that, so I'll get Brandon.
Okay.
'Cause he talking about words I don't know nothing about.
Okay, all right,
got
Alderman Vaccaro, you are free to present
So-
your
so
Board
the-
Bill 82 committee substitute.
So
And tell
the,
us what the original and the differences are.
so the original in it's still the same bill. It still makes things safe for an ambulance and a fire truck to go down the street. It turns the lights green in the direction that they're going and red in the other ones. And quick story, I know this ain't the city, but yesterday I was going out to South County Mall and there was a fire truck on Lindbergh sitting there with its lights and siren on, beeping its horn with nowhere to go. It couldn't move over to another lane because there was a median. These things say this saves lives and it's enacted in other places, So the only difference, excuse me, when the original bill identified the street department as the funding source, and the other woman, the chairwoman, pointed out to me that we should go a better way. So taking her advice, the only changes to the bill are on page 3, you'll see where it's scratched out, showing it's the street department. And it
Can I
just
stop you
changed.
for a minute? He actually has a marked copy, which is the best way to do. He has a marked and a clean copy. So that is a very good way to do it because it lets you see. If you all didn't pull it down from the Google Drive, if you look at your marked copy, it makes it very easy to follow.
Yeah, and it's marked and it's lined out is the source, which the chairwoman said,
Get some money.
I need to fix that. So we did. So from page 3, line 8, section 1 just changes, showing it's coming from the COVID money. It shows that it's the $10 million. It puts a severability clause. And that's really it. The only thing that in the original one, the fiscal note is attached, and it's attached. It just says 82. I talked to the attorney about it. He said it's separate. So the fiscal note is here. So that's really the only change. The bill's still the same. It just identifies the source. I'd like to get it out of committee because I'd like to discuss it on the floor. Then it has to go to E&A. So this bill has a little bit of ways to go. But I strongly believe in the bill. When an ambulance, we've actually had this past year, I believe it was 2 ambulances that were hit in intersections and destroyed. We had 5 people killed in intersections, and during a police pursuit, I don't know how that works in a police pursuit, but certainly it's definitely a safety thing. We got this COVID money that would fit into this. So I believe this is a great time to put this forward. I'm open to any questions. I just believe we really should move this through. And like I said, it's got a little ways to go. That's my whole story.
All righty. Are there any people, any members of the committee that have questions? Alderwoman Swicer from the 13th, you're recognized.
Thank you so much. Thank you for bringing this bill forward. And it's really interesting stuff. For the $10 million, I'm reading in the fiscal note that it's a rough estimate. I just wondered, if that 10 million, and what I've read also about other cities installing this is they do it in phases, and certain parts of the city kind of get installed first and everything like that. So I guess my questions is 2-part. 1, kind of a little bit more about the $10 million and where that came from. And 2, if you're expecting that to be enough to cover the whole city, and for the whole city to be able to be covered by December of 2026 when the funds have to be spent by. Or if you think it's going to cost a lot more than this, and this is really just kind of a year 1, because I do see it as year 1 in the fiscal note. So I really appreciate your time, and I'm very excited about whatever we can do to help response times improve in the city of St. Louis.
So we at the last committee meeting, I'm sure you were there, and maybe you weren't, but we brought in the fire department, the street department. We brought in the different groups, asked how many street lights there are, how many police cars there are, based off of the amount of street lights that on snow routes, figuring those being the bigger streets. This would cover the main streets throughout the city. It would cover the fire trucks and the police cars. I would like to see this expanded to cover the trucks with snowplows on them, but I think it seemed like people didn't feel that was the best way to go. So this covers all the police cars, and it covers all the fire trucks and ambulances.
Okay, you're supposed to be at streets doing your board bill.
But Chairwoman,
I'm sorry.
That's okay. Thank you. That's very helpful. So this would be on, obviously places with street lights, traffic lights, snow routes.
Right.
And did they give any sort of timeline? I can't remember if that was discussed as well.
No, because what happens is obviously the police chief, the fire chief, and they would be the new police chief, Jamie Wilson from Streets. Once this is put in place, they would like to actually have the say of how and where and when.
Got it.
Which would make sense, because they would have the best knowledge of how to do this. What this would do is put it in place, and then they would be actually, the ones that would actually say this is the best way to do it, how we go about doing it. And they would have the at the end of this, they would have to say in how to put it in, you know, because it's still gonna have to go through, once we approve it, it goes through us. I would have to assume that E&A will put it out for bid, so there'll be, you know, different companies bidding on it. You know, for our part, it's getting it through, you know, putting this in place. And then, you know, then how it gets put together or up and running. You know, I think the street department and fire and all them would get involved in that.
I appreciate that. You know, I am starting to get kind of more and more concerned about delays of funds being spent. You know, the allocations that have been made by the board already are, you know, not a ton has been spent yet. And, you know, maybe that means we'll just have an excellent 2024. But the money does need to be spent by 2026. And I found, you know, this, for example, the speed humps that the board bill, I think, passed, that I put forward, I don't even know, over the summer, maybe even before break. I'm not sure. But it was a long time ago. And it's going to be installed this spring. And that's just one, you know, 2 speed humps in 13th Ward. And so, you know, I get a little nervous when it's like, here's a $10 million project for streets and BPS, when I know that, you know, they're having trouble. You know, I have a 4-month wait for a constituent for a dumpster, and that's a huge improvement from the 8 months it was, you know, 4 months ago. So, you know, I hearing you saying that, you know, it's bid out, there would be a company to do this. I would just want to be very cognizant of their time and how, you know, they realistically think this will get done. And
No,
make sure, you know, sounds like they're at the table, which I think is great.
right, and I agree, and my computer's acting up, but so I might switch back and forth to but we can certainly get into, I was gonna call the chairwoman, because sidewalks and things that are not getting done, I looked into this, and I'm being told that, you know, I don't want to start these rumors, but I'm being told that a lot of us sitting in the comptroller's office and sitting in stacks and nothing's getting done. I'm being told a lot of rumors. I don't know what's true or not, but I do think that, you know, that's up to the chairwoman, and certainly maybe we need to look into why a lot of things are not getting done, even with Ward Capital that's sitting there. Because I've been making calls going, why are my $200,000 that I put in Ward Capital and sidewalks not getting done? But we're off subjects.
Yeah, we're definitely off topic. I know. I think, but that's the thing, isn't it? You know, we have to acknowledge how tied in all of this work is, because what keeps happening is we just keep handing more and more stuff to a smaller and smaller staff. And I'm very concerned about that in general. And I think this is a really awesome idea. And, you know, the reading I've done in other cities talk about increased faster response time. I think we all know if there are less officers responding than previous years, then, you know, there will be slower response time. So how can there be other ways to increase those response times? I think that's thoughtful. I think that's important. But I guess, you know, my question is like, how much can we put on BPS and streets to manage right now with how much we've already spent in those areas? And I do think it's really important. I'm just concerned about the reality of accomplishing some of these things, I guess. And so that's a broad question, but it is the question, I think.
But, you know, then we might as well just say, let's don't spend anything, take everything off there, don't do nothing. We need to put this there. Having someone that had to have an ambulance get to my house while I was having a heart attack, where they had to rush me in for open heart surgery. This bill's important to me. So
and I don't doubt the need to increase.
I guarantee I will stay on it. I will be on it. The news will be on it.
Right.
This will not lay.
Okay.
I can
And
tell you
I know you well enough to know that that's, when you say that, that's true.
guarantee I will
And
do that.
I appreciate that. Well, I'm sure I have more questions, but I'll let others have the time. Thank you so much, Madam Chair. Thank you, Alderman Caro.
Chairman, I can't hear you. I'm sorry.
I'm sorry, I muted myself. Okay. Anyone else have any questions?
I do.
Hey, Alderman from the third.
Thank you. First of all, I do support the idea. I mean, you have spoken about this a few times on personal calls. I do think that it is an important piece of technology that will eventually help the city when we get other things under control with traffic and reckless driving and reckless drivers as well. I think I voiced my concern about this one particular piece last time. Are we looking at what the maintenance on this will be? So we know that technology changes pretty often, and eventually, the companies that we're potentially contracting with will have to upgrade software. Some cars get totaled, as far as police cars, like you mentioned with the ambulances that got totaled. And I'm sure that every time those things happen, there won't always possibly be an instance where that technology is destroyed, but in an instance where that does happen, and there are multiple situations where we have to replace those devices, are we insuring each one of those devices if one of them gets destroyed? Are the devices under contract themselves? Or are we contracting the company out to not only monitor the technology, but also install it and to maintain it as well? Or is this a one-time drop in the bucket? Here we purchase these items from you. We got these sensors and all these things that we have to put on the stoplights, and then we have to put them on the cars. Is that a one-time installation? And then our maintenance people here in the city, whenever there's an issue or problem with it, we have to figure out what specifically needs to be done to fix that problem with that particular vehicle? Or is this a contract where we're looking at full-fledged, a company doing everything? It's wraparound services for us for a period of time, of course.
I'm sorry. Well, and that would depend on the company and the contract. This I know will get it all put together. This will get everything installed and up and going and running. Just like the body cameras, some things aren't going to come out until we actually get something in place. Once we get the money in place and we get a contractor in place, then yes, that's kind of why I think we kind of did this, and I'm trying to see, but as phase one, this will get everything put in place and going and up and running. I think whatever they work with the company, it's something we don't know. We didn't know even on the body cameras, because you don't know what the storage fees are. You don't know all these different things. I don't think there's storage fees. Well, there could be, I guess, storage fees, but I don't think there'd be storage fees on this. I think it's just a safety thing. I'm sorry.
I said, no, it shouldn't be. That this is not collecting
right
video
it's just turning cameras.
Right. They're just communicating with each other.
And we had something in the city a long time ago that did this. But this is actually done now by the cloud. And I don't know that there are things on each light. I think it's a lot more sophisticated than what it was. I think back then there had to be all these different things. I do know that something gets installed into the vehicles. That I do know. And I don't know if the vehicles, somehow the cloud recognizes a vehicle when it comes up to a light, that maybe things don't go on those lights.
If it's in the cloud, then it's definitely storage based in. If that's how it's been.
Well, I think it knows what vehicles come into a light. So I don't think it's storing video. I think it's recognizing.
Well, probably not video. Just information about the car, probably the actual piece of
coming to that-
technology that's communicating, going through that light, probably
Yeah.
small bits of information, but
Yeah,
still.
it's letting them know that this is coming to this. They have to turn something on in their vehicle. I guess when the lights come on, if their lights and siren are on, it'll turn everything green in the direction they're going. And how it knows that is, you know, I'm not sure, but it seems to know that. And I believe it's St. Charles that already has this in place, and it just seems to really help, especially during rush hours and times where there's a lot of traffic. And I know that I've already seen it on Hampton, where I'm sitting at a red light and the ambulance is behind me right at Hampton and 44, and it can't get around, and it's blowing its horn, and I'm thinking, what do I do? There's cars coming off the highway. Do I go? Do I stop? What do I do? This just makes it better. It not only clears that, it makes it easier for me because I can get out, I can just go and get out of its way. You know.
So for the, like I said, I agree with the reason for the board bill. I agree with the use of funds for this particular technology as well. So, you know, I'm definitely not in any, I don't need, you know, no disrespect. I don't need to be sold on it. I'm trying to figure out that unknown piece, because technology, it really does get expensive, especially when you have companies that are service-based, where they, you know, have pretty much subscription. Every month we pay this, or every year we pay that for a certain amount of service on a certain amount of equipment. I just know when all of the ARPA funds are gone and these upgrades have taken place 4 or 5 years from now, if this technology does improve, which I hope it continues to improve, you know, there could potentially be the funds that we've spent, and, you know, what does it look like maintaining all of that technology? And, you know, we're still going to have some funds left over to ensure that, let's say, for instance, the next administration or the next group of aldermen are, you know, still looking at this as being something that we should potentially continue to fund, you know, when we don't have ARPA funds. So
my hopes would be that when we find out, you know, this should get it going. I think we'll find that out when just like with the body cameras, we'll find that out once we get some companies that come in. And I guess they go in front of, I guess eventually those companies would come back in front of the street committee, but we're not, the aldermen, we don't get the opportunity to spend money. Even when we say we want our sidewalks done, they have to be approved by E&A, you know. So what happens once we get this moving along, it goes to E&A, and E&A will have to make the, you know, to agree to fund it. And then I would guess at that point, they'll bring in different companies. They'll send an RFP out. In the RFP, a lot of those questions that you're asking will get answered. You know, what about maintenance? What's the contract? Is this a 4 or 5 year contract? Is everything covered under the contract? I think there's a few companies out there, so I think they're going to be competitive. And I think that what you might find is they may give us a pretty good deal over a really long term. That would be my hope. But we won't know that until we get this, you know, off of the, yeah.
Okay.
We'll know more as we go, but these are really good questions, and I don't have any really good answer, except if we don't do this, you know, we're still, you know, the cost of the upgrade, we're being sued by the people that got hit. We're being sued by the people that were in the ambulances. We're being sued by the ambulance drivers. So, you know, what's the cost of life? You know, if somebody's killed in an intersection, do we put a value of life dollar on that, saying, well, if it's going to cost us this to keep this system up and going, if a few people die, you know, I think the cost of one life, you know, then I just look at this as such a life-saving, if I wasn't so just impassioned by this, I probably, wouldn't have, I've had other bills that when we've gotten discussion, I thought, well, but I'm very, again, having been a part of, waiting while they're rushing me to the hospital in an ambulance, and fortunately it was late at night, so there wasn't the traffic, but I see these ambulances and I see them sitting there and beeping the horn, and I just envision me, even though not, but I envision me being in that ambulance, Alderwoman Tyus, when you sent it over, what if, it's a very life-threatening thing, they had to get her to the hospital. What if, it was a matter of minutes that they had to get her to the hospital, yet they're sitting over there, which we know by Barnes Hospital, and that there is no way around that mess. I've seen ambulances sitting there at stoplights, blowing their horn and trying to get around stuff. What if, so you got to look at this. So what is the value of one life? What's the value of one person dying because we couldn't quite get to the emergency room while we were sitting at a stoplight and the ambulance didn't have everything in it that it needed? I mean, I'm very passionate about it. Just like, I know you're passionate about stuff, and the stuff you're passionate about, I agree. I could see it through your eyes. And I would ask that, the community sees us through my vision, and my vision is, what is one life worth? What is one life worth? And that's hard. It's otherwise I wouldn't have even bothered with this thing.
Point well taken, sir. Well taken.
Thank you.
And I appreciate it. I appreciate your passion as well.
Thank you. I meet with you. We've talked before.
Thank you. I have no further questions, and I do rise in support of this board bill.
Thank you.
Chairwoman, I'm sorry. You're muted, Chairwoman.
Somebody else is muting me because I'm not doing that. Stop that. I'm the chair. Leave my mic open. Is there anyone else on the committee or off of the committee that's an alderperson that has questions for Alderman Vaccaro? Okay, I want to say to you, Alderman Vaccaro, I think this is a very important bill. I live one house away from Kings Highway on the way to Barnes Hospital. So we hear all whatever goes on. In fact, we're getting new windows this spring because we're going to try to get some of that traffic noise that is increased. And it's not the traffic, it's the sirens and things. And I am always shocked that where I grew up, when you heard the sirens, you pulled over, left or right, you got out the way.
Mhm.
I am shocked to see the people who try to race with the fire department or the ambulance or whatever. That could be your loved one, and it could be a matter of seconds to make the difference in a death or a recovery. So I would really call out to all of the people who try to race the emergency vehicles, please pull over to the left, to the right, just get out of the way. But irrespective if it was you or I, it's somebody's life that's very important. And those few seconds could make the difference in somebody surviving or not. So I am very much in support of this bill. I did want to ask you, have you had any conversation with members of the ENA? Maybe I missed that, about supporting this ARPA fund.
Well, I'm hoping that they would. We'll follow the process once it gets off the floor, before it gets third read and final passed, it'll go to
Right.
ENA.
Right.
I can tell you this, I have not received, well, of course, the new president of the board has supported this, so I assume she'll continue to do so. But
Okay.
Generally, when they don't like something, they usually will call you.
Right.
And I will say that I have not received any negative, anything negative about this. So
Well, I'd like to add my name as a co-sponsor, if you don't mind.
Oh,
I think that's
I would
important.
love to have anyone and everyone on this.
Anyone else on this committee who would like to add their name to the board bill? 4-4.
Yes,
You can add mine as well.
Evans, mine.
Could we embank it, Madam Chair?
Okay, I have a motion that we have banked from the committee members. Is there anyone opposed to that? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, so all committee members will add their name. Hopefully that'll help. And we get to the floor, maybe we'll add everybody's name because this is very important. If we have no further questions, I'd entertain a motion that we pass out Board Bill 82 as amended with a due pass
So moved.
recommendation in bank to the full board.
Second,
Previous row.
We have a motion, we have a second, we have a call for previous roll. Anyone object to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 82 as amended is passed out in bank with a due pass recommendation. I see, we lost Alderman Gross again, okay? Because,
Thank you.
oh no, here he
He's
is.
still there.
Okay, you had that big, you had your St. Louis emblem, so I was looking for that, okay? Let's go back here to Board Bill 140, which is Alderman Gross. Madam Clerk, would you please read the introduction to Board Bill 140 before we recognize it?
Pursuant, excuse me, pursuant to ordinance number 70333 as amended by ordinance number 71394. The proposed bill directs the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on the 4300, 4400, 4500, and 4600 blocks of McPherson Avenue, 400 block of North Taylor Avenue, 300 and 400 blocks of North Boyle Avenue, 5100 and 5200 blocks of Washington Place, 6000 and 6100 blocks of Washington Boulevard, 5800 and 5900 blocks of Pershing Avenue, and the 400 block of North Newstead.
Okay. Alderman Gross, you are before us with Board Bill 140. I can't remember, is this your first board bill before the street committee? Did you come before us with one other thing? Do you remember?
You know, I've been in front on a different committee, but I think this might be my first streets thing.
Well, welcome to the Streets Committee. It's the best committee at the Board of Aldermen. We get a lot of speed humps for us not to have wanted that at some point. Well, we always wanted it for all the years I was here, but for years, the city councilor didn't want us to have it. And then even when I wrote the board bill, because then they wanted us to pay $750 per study to let us know if we should put speed humps. And so that prompted me to write a board bill saying, no, we don't have to pay the $750. And I'm getting ready to amend the board bill because now they're coming back with another $750 talking about striping. They keep trying to eat away at our monies, okay? And the Alderman from the 13th talked about it. When we first got this money in 1994, I know they'll be glad when I'm gone, so I can't give you guys the history, but as long as I'm here, I'm going to tell. When we got here in 94, when the alderman from the 3rd's brother was the mayor, he's the one got the bill passed. And when we got money, we had 4 to 5 people assigned to us at the Board of Aldermen from BPS. It makes a big difference how you get your projects done if you have that many people assigned versus 2 people and a supervisor. So it is not fair that it's taking this long. And then when the mayors feel so, they try to falsely accuse the alder people of holding this money. I have the most money because I have $1 million and some odd dollars I've been waiting for forever for curbs. And it's just sitting up there. And so I had to prove it because this administration shopped falsehoods. And so then, of course, keep all your emails because as you come back here, they will try to put all kind of misinformation. So put everything in writing and keep it because it will become the alder person's fault that they haven't spent their money when you have appropriated, you've passed a board bill. But my community is now learning that just because we appropriate something, we do not get to spend the money. We do not get to direct the directors to do anything. And so they are now finding out how many fibs this administration and the prior administrations have told about why my projects didn't get done. So I'm telling everybody, whether you come back here or not, keep all your correspondence so we can address this, okay? Because this is serious and it's a lot of money. And what happens is when a new alderperson comes, if you're not in friends with the previous one, they may not tell you where the money is. You don't know where to look for that money, and that money gets lost in the shuffle. So this is important. Okay, and so you are recognized to present Board Bill 140 before the Board of Aldermen. I'm sorry, before the Streets Committee.
Well, Madam Chair, I certainly appreciate, the work that was done on getting a bill passed that could allow us to get speed bumps in our streets as easy as possible. Because, our residents, my residents in the ward really want these bumps. It's probably one of the things that have reached out most about. The Central West End, we have a lot of, one-way streets where, it's blocked off on an end and people will turn and then race back out. We have a lot of north-south traffic cutting through on Taylor and Newstead that just doesn't regard the stop signs there currently. So, this is a big issue in my ward. I think that, and I've talked to you before, Madam Chair, that, you're talking to people in the ward, it's crime or this, and it's really an or thing. It's interesting. I've noticed that that residents don't really, focus on both of those things. There's either traffic residents or crime residents, but this is important, and I would certainly appreciate the favorable consideration of this committee.
Okay. Does anyone on the committee have a question for the Alderman from the 28th? Anyone? You're recognized to close. See how friendly we are?
Very friendly. Again, I'll just renew my request, and on behalf of the residents of my ward, I thank the members of the committee for considering putting these speed humps in place.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill 140 be passed out with a do pass recommendation to the
So
full
moved.
board.
Second,
Previous row.
We have a motion, a second, a call for previous roll. Any objections? Hearing none, Board Bill 140 is passed out with a do pass recommendation, and congratulations on your first bill out of the Streets Committee. We appreciate you.
Thank you, Madam Chair. Thank you, members of the committee. I appreciate it. I'll see you guys in person.
All
couple
right.
days.
All right, so the next person we have, I'm gonna skip my bills. I have a lot of them. So I'm gonna go to Alderwoman Norma. Let me see if we have anybody before we got Paige. Those are all my bills. Alderwoman Norma Walker is here.
Hello, good morning, Alderperson Tyrus,
No,
Chairperson
no matter
Tyrus.
how you try to do that, PYUS tie up together.
Yes. I
Okay.
don't know why I want to give you an R. I
Everybody does that. They
apologize.
argue with me about it, so no problem, but it's still just no R. So anyway, just a minute. So Alderwoman Walker, before, this is how we do the process, because you have a committee substitute, I'm sorry, not a committee substitute, you have an amendment. So we're gonna walk you through that. But first, we're gonna have the Madam Clerk read the introduction to your board bill.
Board Bill number 151, introduced by Alderwoman Norma Walker, pursuant to ordinance number 70333 as amended by ordinance number 71394. The proposed bill directs the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on certain blocks in the 22nd Ward.
Okay, so now what we're gonna do is, because you have an amendment, Alderwoman Walker, it's easier to bring the amendment before us so that we don't just waste our time talking about the original board bill. So what you will do is that we're gonna entertain an amendment to board bill number, entertain a motion that we bring amendment number 1 to board bill 151 before the committee.
I'll make that motion, or just so moved. I'll go with so moved.
Second.
So we had a motion and a second.
The
Previous roll.
previous roll.
We have a call for previous roll. Any objections for previous roll? Okay, hearing none. Board Bill 151 amendment to Board Bill 151 are brought before us. Okay, do you have your board bill at all in front of you, Alderwoman Walker? If you don't, you can go on to the Google Docs. I also emailed it to you yesterday. So
Yes, ma'am.
take your
I
time.
think I just. There I go, there I go. There I go. Yes, ma'am, it's in front of me.
Okay, so I helped write this, so I want you all to know that in the Google Docs, besides her original bill and amendment, there is a marked copy and a clean copy. So we can just go through, if you will, presenting to us what the streets are, and we added the specific streets and the locations of where you wanted your speed hump. So if you could just tell us about that a little bit.
Yes, Madam Chair, thank you very much. Like I'm sure everyone in the city of St. Louis, in most neighborhoods, we have a lot of people that are heavy-footed, that like to speed up and down our neighborhoods, despite the fact that they know we have kids and seniors and cars, you know, that you have to be careful of. And we've done a survey of the neighborhood for speed humps on the block of Greer and on the block of Darby. And I would respectfully appreciate it if the committee and Madam Chair would pass this out of committee with a due pass.
Okay. Just a minute, I'm printing out one thing I didn't print out, and then I'll be right back with you.
Yes, ma'am.
Hey, I'm sorry, I printed out the wrong board bill for you, so I printed out Alderwoman Keys and Boyd's bill. So anyway, you did present before us. Is there anyone who has any questions to ask of Alderwoman from the 22nd regarding her board bills for speed humps on various locations in the 22nd ward? Any questions? Hearing none, I'd entertain, oh, I'm sorry, you may close. This is a very friendly committee. And no hard questions. Usually vote down people the first time they bring a board bill, but we're gonna treat you really nice.
Oh, well, I'm glad for the new policy. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Wait,
I
I may
appreciate
have to
that.
vote against this.
But we still got some other chances, Joe.
Okay, I may have to vote against it, and then I could always vote on the prevailing side if I.
That is correct.
Alright.
We could work something up for the floor. How about that?
Okay.
That's
sounds
the
like a deal.
initiation for new alder people.
That's right.
Thank you, Madam
Okay, you can,
Chair.
and
And
you can close, Alderwoman Walker.
They
thank you,
did
Madam
this
Chair,
to everybody.
thank you, members of the committee. I would appreciate if you would pass this with a pass due. I would
Do
appreciate
pass.
your consideration.
pass.
Do pass, yes. I couldn't get those words out, kept trying. Y'all got me excited with this. Y'all finna prank me.
Yeah.
That kind of got me nervous over here. I was good at first. But I would appreciate it if you would pass this with a due pass out of committee today. Thank you very much.
Thank you. I'd entertain a motion that Board Bill 151, and the first one before us by the Alderman from the 22nd, Norman Walker, be passed out with a due pass recommendation.
Second.
I didn't take a motion.
So moved.
Motion, okay, the second.
Previous roll.
Okay, we have a motion, a second, and a call for previous roll. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, we have suspended the sophomoric initiation of voting no, and we passed yours out with kindness. This is a new and gentle us. And congratulations, we are passing Board Bill 151 out with a due pass recommendation. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Okay, Alderwoman Boyd. So I don't know if you got to see that I added your stuff to Alderwoman Keys. I added your board, your speed humps to Alderwoman Keys' bill. Did you see that at all? I sent it to you last night, but
Yes, ma'am. I read it. Thank you so much.
Oh, I tell you, when you have to buy me that cup of coffee that I don't drink, you'll be sorry. Because I don't even drink coffee, but okay. Madam Clerk, I'm going to ask that Board Bill 152, which is we got to change the clean copy changes the introduction and also so to make it read correctly. I'm going to have Alderwoman Boyd handle that, and I'll walk her through it if there's problems. If you would read, because it's actually Alderwoman Boyd and Keys who are co-sponsoring this bill, and you will see that we put that in the amendment. Okay, if you would read the original board bill 151, the summary.
Board Bill number 152, introduced by Alderwoman Laura Keys, pursuant to ordinance number 70333 as amended by ordinance number 71394. The proposed bill directs Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on certain blocks in the 21st Ward.
Okay, so as to not have to waste time going through this, and then we have an amendment. I'd entertain a motion that we bring forth amendment number 1 to Board Bill 152.
So moved.
Second.
Okay,
Previous roll.
we have a motion. We have a motion, a second, a call for previous roll. Any objections? Okay, Alderwoman, do you have the amendment in front of you or the?
That's what I'm trying to pull up now.
Okay, because we have the amendment and we have a marked copy and a clean copy on the drive.
Personnel, traffic, streets. Okay, streets. Okay.
So it's Board Bill 152.
Trying to pull it up on my phone.
Well, you will. I have it before. Do you mind if I go ahead and handle it?
Oh, ma'am, would you handle it for me, please?
I sure will. Okay. My Vice Chair,
Yes, ma'am, I'm
Okay.
here.
I'm going to handle the bill, so I need you to chair the meeting, please.
All right.
Okay,
You are recognized on
Board Bill 152.
Board Bill 152.
Okay, we have before us Board Bill 152, and we have the amendment. The amendment to Board Bill 152 adds, already has Alderwoman Laura Keys and her specific sites in the 21st Ward that she wants done, but she also we have the amendment to add the 27th Ward and Alderwoman Boyd's specific sites in the 27th Ward. So if you look at amendment number 1, it speaks to Margaretta, Bessie, Anderson, lots of streets in the Penrose neighborhood and some in the O'Fallon neighborhood. And then if you look down the middle of the page, it starts with the 27th Ward, and it inserts where the speed humps are supposed to be. And that's what we did in the 27th Ward. We got him on. I wanted to make sure I had the wards right. I mean, the streets right. Goodfellow, Gladys. Yes, Goodfellow, Gladys, and Riverview were the streets that we
Yes.
had added there.
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am, that's correct.
All right. And then we have a marked, besides the original, we have a marked copy. And in our marked copy, we changed the summary to indicate that we added Alderwoman Pamela Boyd's name, introduced as to who introduced the board bill, co-sponsor.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, and then we added the word after 21st Ward and 27th Ward.
Right.
Okay, you have that, Madam Clerk?
Yes, I do.
Okay, and then the marked copy again just goes through all the places that we changed, and we made it specific about the speed humps and where they're going to be located in both the 22nd Ward and the 27th Ward. And then there is a clean copy before you. And it is Board Bill 152 as amended.
Okay. Do we have any questions from any members of the committee? All right, is this the only amendment to Board Bill 152?
It is.
All right, well, I entertain a motion to pass Board Bill 152 out as amended with the due pass recommendation.
I'll second that.
Previous.
I so
We
moved.
got a motion on the floor. Motion on the table.
I'll be the second. I'm sorry. I thought you made the motion. I'm sorry. I'll second the motion then.
All right, so we have a motion, we have it moved, we have it moved by Alderwoman Tyus and seconded by Alderman Vaccaro. Any
Previous
request for,
roll.
there we go, request for previous roll, any objection? Seeing no objection to previous roll, Board Bill 152 passes out, Board Bill 152 as amended. It's passed out of committee with a due pass recommendation.
That
Congratulations.
is great. All right, thank you very much, okay?
Thank you, Madam Chair.
Since the Alderwoman wasn't here, you the co-sponsor, then you got to handle the bill, okay? Now, let's see here, we gotta go back to, we got a lot of, I have board bills, let me see here.
33, 34, 35, 36.
Right, but I want to come back to that because I don't want to lose people about this discussion about the city treasurer. And so you'll see, and I'll come back to my board bills because I think this is even more important. In the drive, there's a string of emails that I wrote to Kevin Bailey of the mayor's office and to Adam Lane, the city treasurer, about trying to get a report on where the $500 ARPA funds, the first that we authorized, went to. And when I wrote him the letter, there is something in our city charter, it's City Charter 25, it says that we, as members of the Board of Aldermen, any committee has the right to any kind of documents that would that are pertinent to the city. We have a right to have them. Absolutely. We changed the charter in 2004 because we were having so many problems with trying to get stuff from different boards and commissions, and the mayor's office was always trying to block us. So if you look at my string of emails, at the top of this string of emails is a quote from the city charter, which you can go look up yourself. You guys know how I am about rule that says, St. Louis City Charter, Article 25 miscellaneous provisions, city records to be open to mayor, comptroller, and the board of aldermen. All books, records, and papers in any department, office, or division shall be open to the mayor, comptroller, or any committee of the board of aldermen. So originally, I just started asking verbally. I asked the board's liaison, Kevin Bailey, if he could get me the numbers of where they were by wards of who got money for that original $500. And he said he would get them to me, and that went on for several months. Then I got very irritated, so I started sending emails, and I sent one to Adam Lane and to who is the treasurer, and then Yusef Scroggins. And the treasurer told me, yes, he did have the data. And I said, please get that to me. He promised to get that to me. You'll see my emails go back to, I want to say, June, but I have some more that was even before that. So I started trying to get this data in May, and I tried to get the data because every time I go to a meeting or I speak to a constituent, they tell me, we don't know who got that money. And nobody to this day, not one person in the first ward has been able to tell me they got the money. And so I started out just wanting to know by ward. And then they said, well, we don't have this in ward data, which that didn't make sense to me because most data we get is by ward. They can give it to us pretty fast. So I waited and I waited and waited. And then when I was in the hospital in October, I saw, and again, I want you to know that the treasurer said he was going to get it to me. And when I was in the hospital in October, I saw the mayor have this big flashy press release to say what a success this was, this ARPA funds dispersion, but they had it by zip code, which is not what I asked for. And plus, we, the members of the Board of Aldermen, don't have to take the mayor's or the comptroller's or anybody's word for it. We have a right to look at documents ourselves so we can make sure that they are correct, because we are the checks and balance to the other, to the executive department. We are the legislative body. And so when I came back, we had the treasurer before us. I asked him in November, said, hey, we didn't get that information. Where is it? And he said, oh, you didn't get it? And he kind of smirked. So I prepared a subpoena for him, which I've never, in all these years when we prepare subpoenas, I've never heard of a president not signing a subpoena. And our rule said the president shall sign the subpoena, but our current president, Megan Green, refused to sign the subpoena to get the documents, and then asked me, what was I going to do with them? Am I going to release them to the press? All of that is very insulting. I am a lawyer. I was practicing law when she was a little girl in grade school. So she has really insulted my intelligence. Even we have the same powers as Congress to get documents. And in Congress, there are people who sit on very sensitive boards, committees, commissions, all about our safety for the country. And they're sworn not to tell these things. I would never release anybody's names and addresses. And I never have in all these years. And she had no right to even bring that up. What she is doing is trying to prevent me from getting documents that we have a right to have. So there is something called a writ of mandamus. And what a writ of mandamus does is compels a elected official or appointed official or those who are supposed to do their jobs to do what they're supposed to do. In this case, it is to release the documents. Now I don't want it just by ward. I want all the documents, and I want us to look at it and put it in a ward order. And I want to know who and what they are hiding. When people try to hide things this much, there's usually something to hide. So I'm bringing it before this committee to have a discussion to see if there's anybody who thinks we shouldn't have the data or has a problem with us having the data.
Man, if we freely opening or we recognizing?
You're recognized, Alderman Vaccaro.
I think we should have that. What if the reason, and I'm not saying this is factual, but what if it's somebody's cousin, brother, sister, aunt, uncle? I mean, we can't even vote on something all the way to the 4th degree in case I have a great cousin that might happen to be a carpenter. You know, I was concerned about a lot of that anyway. And I would say the same thing. If you have nothing to hide, why wouldn't you just say, here it is? You know, I mean, I get you can't put people's names out in public. We wouldn't do that. We can do it in a closed session if that's what we want to discuss where this went. that's, I guess, but certainly the more somebody tries to hide something, the more it makes me want to say, well, what are you hiding? I would say that you see me and you see Alderman Bosley, we're on the news a lot because we don't hide from it. And sometimes we get a little beat up and sometimes we don't, but at least we don't hide, If somebody's saying something about me and they come and say it, I'll say it. So I think when you're hiding something or you're running from something, that it makes me more curious. So I'm with you. I think whatever we need to do, if we need to have our attorney do whatever, I don't know I don't see why we would have to get a sunshine request, but
We don't. We do a writ of mandamus. The last alderperson who did one was Alderman Freeman Bosley did one and he won, and we will win. This is just a stall tactic, and I'm very disappointed. When the current president came down here, I helped her fight to get changes in rules. I'm always for nobody should have to sunshine you for public documents, and aldermen are equal. The Board of Aldermen is equal to the executive branch. And if our president doesn't understand that, she needs to step down. I'm very irritated with that. We deserve to have it.
well, what you're going to find is, as we're doing these things and we're asking, I'm pretty sure the press listens to these meetings. That'll start wanting to do sunshine requests. I mean,
You see the
I
news?
think
Right now, they're behind the 8 ball. There has been more fighting of sunshine requests with this administration than any. Okay, so that is what the press is having to deal with. So we don't have to deal with sunshine requests. We have a right to have it. Again, and I want you guys to read this. If you don't believe me, go look it up in the city charter yourself. It says any committee. We're any committee. Okay, it doesn't say it has to be in HUDs or anything. You never know what we need from documents to write legislation. I actually started out wanting the information because I wanted to write legislation about some of the ARPA funds. Here I am 5, 6, 7 months later, and they don't give me the data. And then the president wants to know what I want to do with it. None of her damn business. She'll find out when I present my legislation. You don't get to suppress me. You don't get to, what happened to all that free speech and free rights and blocking the streets? Every last thing they did, I took up for them. So I am sorely disappointed and irritated that the president would do anything except for sign my subpoena. I've been practicing law since 1989, and I've done subpoenas. The first year person that gets out of law school, when you start practicing law, you can do a subpoena. It's not a big thing. It is only done when people don't do what they're supposed to do. If you turn things over to me, I don't need to do a subpoena. So the president thinks that she's going to block access to information. That is not going to happen. So again, I'm going to do, if I have to file as a person myself, and as a lawyer, I can subpoena the records. So whatever I have to do, I'm going to get it. And all of this time dragging their foot makes no sense. And that's why they started lying on me and saying I was holding up data, but they don't understand how long I keep my correspondence and proof. So every time they've done it, they've looked silly. So there's no reason to keep it at all. None. If you don't believe me, go look up in the city charter yourself. We have every right to it. Yes, Alderman Bosley.
I definitely don't disagree with our right to have that information. I think it is extremely important when we ask for certain documents that are supposed to help us be better in making decisions with our job, that we get them so we can utilize that data when other things come across our desk in terms of being able to help that could be similar programs and gives us a better insight on how to do things better in the future. So with that, these are definitely, I think, reasonable asks. I think there's been a reasonable amount of time to possibly be able to get us that information as well. I think that, unfortunately, and this is not off subject, but a lot of different departments throughout the city, and just collectively, it's just we just not have done a very good job of creating the best communication lines. And that's something that we all have to figure out how to do a bit better of, and making sure that we have, I think there has to be some type of a quarterly report, especially with these ARPA funds. There's so much money being thrown in so many different directions, and folks are picking up these balls and they running them because it's, you're going a million miles per hour. Like especially with, CDA, Brother Neil, we all going to feel for him very, very soon. With all that money being allocated, they're going to be forced with very small amount of staff to get in there and make wonders happen with hundreds of millions of dollars. So at some point in time, new aldermen are going to come in and they're going to be requesting documents. And I think it's going to be difficult for them folks to hurry up and get them in a professional, not professional way, in an expedient manner, and get it done in a way where they can read them and utilize that information. If there's not something that we figure out how to put in place as well to say, hey, we want, a quarterly report on how much money was spent, and actually maybe toss that in the board bill when we actually are approving these funds. And that doesn't mean that the aldermen or we're forcing you got to give us everything, but reasonably, we should know, hey, every quarter when we spending hundreds of millions of dollars, where that money went to. We want a breakdown of, who it was received by. Maybe first and last names aren't the most important thing, but a first initial and a last name, maybe just addresses. So whatever it is that we deem to be important for these particular board bills that we are trying to receive information back on, because this is a lot of money. A lot of money. And there's a lot of information that comes with spending all of this money. You got thousands of people who are going to be applying for all of these dollars. And, we also have to figure out a way when our residents come and say, hey, I wasn't chosen, to figure out a way to be able, well, this is why, there were 500 people who filed in your particular category. And unfortunately, they could only get 70 of them. 70 people were chosen just like this, just like that. You fit the exact demographic in which they were pulling out of this hat from, but it was randomized. Nothing I could do about it. And it's just like 200 other people in our ward who applied who, weren't able to get it. Ms. Jones, or we don't have to say names, but, just being able to have some statistics that gives us the ability to, talk to our residents in a way where they understand when things are happening and opportunities arise, when they're not able, when they aren't chosen for, those specific opportunities. And then once again, it gives us better analytical data on how to move forward. So with that, we haven't had many conversations with Adams personally, like especially in hearings. Treasurer Adams, personally, especially when we have these hearings. I think it's really good when we are opening it in public like this, because it doesn't give us the ability, like we're talking about hiding or here and there. It gives us the ability to be right here face to face and, be able to look each other in the eyes and say, what it is that we need to say to get to the end goal. So, I would say that, Treasurer Adams would probably not mind hopping on the Zoom with us. I think I saw an email earlier when he was trying to.
Let me stop you for a minute. Now they come back again. He's already been before me. He's been here before. I've asked him for it. I mentored him. I told him, don't do what the mayor does. Don't keep that data. That's my information to him. That's my advice to him. I've met him for lunch. I've talked to him. He knows better. He promised to give it to me. I don't need to talk to you anymore now. The last time he was here in November, I asked him again. I don't have to keep asking you, okay? 5 or 6 months is, that I sent that. You see these emails. I think he wants to give it. I think he's caught between me and the mayor is going to lose.
And I think,
okay?
Respectfully, and this is like, it's just politics right now, right? So we're gonna be real about it. If that is the case, truly, it probably will be interesting to see how that plays out, having them right here, being able to not answer to that in particular, but ask the question we want to ask and see what, because the cat's out the bag at this point, if that's what the thought is.
Let me just tell you, I'm not gonna, he could come after what we're gonna do today. And then, but I'm moving it along. He can come and do whatever he wants to do, but it's moving along. Anytime I ask you as a chair and the most senior person here, longer than the mayor, longer than him, he's never been elected to a daggum thing in the city. He was appointed to that job. So when the president asked me, what am I gonna do with it? Well, I got elected for 31 years. That's what I'm gonna do with it. I'm a lawyer. Why about you stay in your lane and do what you're supposed to do? Look at our rules. It says she's supposed to sign this subpoena. That's why I'm irritated. And when he came here last, he could have spoke to it then, and he just smirked. And he thinks that he got away with it because they were planning for the president not to sign it. But they don't understand Sharon Tyus, okay? And the people that do, like the Alderman from the 27th, she would tell you, if this was Sterling Miller, I would be doing the same thing. If you don't give me data that belongs to me, then I'm not a legislator, okay? I don't want what the mayor gives me now. I want the original data for us to go through. And we don't have to, if we get filtered from the mayors, that's like Donald Trump, okay? Telling Congress, I'm not gonna give you it. No, you are. You're not greater than the charter. Tashar Jones, mayor of the city of St. Louis, is not greater, and neither is Adam Lane. And there's no sense in sending me an email now, because if you've gotten 5 or 6 months and I've been trying to be very nice to you, all of you all should know, if it was any of you all, I would be doing the same thing. When people ask me for data, I try to give it to them.
I completely understand that. And you know, like I know sometimes when we get to these particular points, it's almost it's always a good time to have a discussion. It's always a good time to have a conversation, right?
And you know what? I don't know if you got spankings. I did. Me and my mom had a spanking right before. We had a discussion right before and after she gave me a spanking. Okay, so we gonna have the discussion, but he is gonna give up. Either we're not gonna be the Board of Aldermen and say, okay, we gonna just. All these people say I'm here to do what the mayor says. I'm here to get the mayor's agenda. I'm not here for the mayor's agenda. I was here way before the mayor. I'm here because I had an agenda that was very successful for my community, and all the people who live in North St. Louis see the things that I have that I've worked on. So, but I'm also here to be a legislator and to be respected. And it would not be anything that the mayor thinks that she's supposed to get that I would not give to her or the press, okay? And so we either gotta be legislators and we gotta be checks and balances, or we do not have that fit that role, and then we should go home, because I'll just go home, okay? I'm not gonna let people not give us information. I think that the Alderman from the 13th made a good point about we don't have enough people who work for us. She was here when Kent Flake told very honestly he didn't do a budget, that the mayor's office was putting out misinformation about me holding it up. These are the kind of things that they do. They hold up your stuff. There's a reason why we don't have enough people, okay? And so if we sit by and go, oh, okay, I feel for you, Adam Lane. What you do is resign. If you don't want to be the big boy and put on your big boy pants, resign. Other than that, you got a lawyer that works for you. I told her the last time I spoke to her, Shirley, that I was going to do a writ of mandamus. I sent things to you guys as member of the board. Kara Spencer responded to me, and she couldn't believe I didn't have it. So if you don't want to follow the city charter, get out of office. That's how you do that. I don't feel for him. If he comes here and you say, has Alderwoman Tyus been good to you? I treated him just as good as I'll treat you, Brandon. You know, I'm sorry, Alderman Bosley, I look out for you. I'll call and tell you things. That's how I do most young people who want me to do that, okay? They're new, and you don't even have to be so young. You could be my age, and if you're new, I try to
and you let me know when I'm wrong, and you make sure that when I'm wrong, you get on my tail. And we have conversations, and I do the best that I can to soak that information up. You most certainly are, a great elder and an individual who does their best to try to teach 100%. I would not take that from you, and I appreciate that. And you know, I love you, so I got to keep it real, right?
And I love
all the way
you all.
So
you all are our future. Alderwoman Schweitzer, yourself, I can't be here forever, but you all have a right. If you're going to be legislators, it's one thing to be an ally. It's another thing to be somebody's rug or footstool, okay? We have to have respect that goes both ways. And when you see my emails going back for 4, 5, 6 months, that's ridiculous. That's why
I agree. And you know what? And sometimes, and this is, like you said, when you get a whooping, you get spanked. Sometimes you get it wrong. Sometimes we get it wrong, right? And being young is not an excuse, but that gives, like you would hope, enough time for us to grow, right? Do better, learn more. I think that it would, once again,
I'm gonna
if
bring
I
it.
know that you give me an audience, I think we should give him an audience, and
I am.
because he
After,
wants to come on and talk. He just
after
you do want to come on and talk.
I will give him
And
an audience after we get the data, so he can hurry up and get it. Then you could tell me all about, because my mother, when she would whoop me and spank me, she would whoop me and say, "Didn't I tell you last week and the week before?" I don't know if you got those spankings, but I did. Okay.
Oh, I
So
did.
everybody doesn't spank, but I got those. Okay.
I
And
got
I
it.
still remember them to this day, because my mother didn't give you 2 or 3 or 10 times. She would tell you once, and then she expected you to know. And my mother disciplined us, not my stepfather. And she meant for what she said. And so I am a disciplined person because of her. So I hear you. You're trying to take up for him. But if you ask him, call him now and say, did Alderwoman Tice give you all kind of chances to do this? He can't tell you anything but the truth. And
I
like
know
this.
you gave him a bunch of chances. You know how I am. I just try to, if somebody want to talk, sometimes it'd be difficult to get folks to come out and talk. When folks really ready to say something, it's like, all right, well, let's
Oh,
do
but I
it.
invited him the last time after he said that, and he didn't come. And he's only doing it now because he knows that it's getting ready to be some legal consequences. Nope. So I hear you, but I'm just not prepared. He can do it after we have the data in front of us. I'm going to share it with the street committee. It is not for me. It is what we get. It is not for it to be disseminated, but we are grown-up legislators and we got elected. And I want us to be treated thusly.
Yes, ma'am.
Alderwoman from the 27th.
Yes, ma'am. I just wanted to speak on in regards to all this money, as Alderman kind of follow up with Alderman Bosley when we talked about all the money that we have coming. And I think that we're really trying as the street committee and as a caucus to be more accountable to our residents, because they do contact us and ask us, well, who did receive the dollars and where are the money going? And so us asking these questions are not to attack or hurt people, but it's to make us accountable. And so we as elected officials, that's who we work for, our constituents. And so I feel kind of lost when I'm steadily asking the question, well, who did receive the dollars? And then they just give me numbers. And so that's not helping Ms. Jones, as Alderman Bosley said, because Ms. Jones saying, but I didn't get the money and why wouldn't I qualify? So I don't like to not be able to answer questions for my constituents, because they have the right to know where the dollars are going and who got those dollars. And so I'm just kind of uncomfortable with that piece, because it seems like it's not a priority to them to give us that data, because that data is what helps us to plead our cases in regards to our residents to say, yeah, we agreed to this, but this is who actually got it in our communities. And so we're looking into to find out why Mr. Jones didn't get it, but Miss Jones did
I'm going to
get it.
stop you. We can and should not release names. So we're not going to
No,
release names.
no, we
We
won't
can
release
data
them.
and say, this many people in our community got this, okay?
Right.
I would have been satisfied originally with just doing that, except for when you now try to keep it away from me, I don't trust your data anymore. Now I want to see the original data, which the treasurer is the one that issued the cards. So he has name, addresses, all of that. I don't want that for any political purpose. I want that to see how it was dispersed, and if it was dispersed in a good way, because one of the problems that I had originally, and I still do, is that we did a lot of that online. And I have said that to this mayor and the mayor before, is that when you do things online, a lot of seniors don't have access. In fact, Alderman Conway, who was then the chief of staff, called me when I was saying that to his boss and saying, my mom has a lot of trouble and she has had access. His mom used to be the first lady of the city of St. Louis, but she does not use the computer as well as she should. And there are a lot of people who don't, that are seniors. And so I'm just trying to see, did we give it to seniors? Did we have it in one spot that got way too much? Because then that tells you, well, let's change how we do things next time. We have to learn from our mistakes, but we have to look at that data and except if it was a way that we did it that was wrong. I do not intend to release not one person's name, and neither should any of us. That is something that is confidential unless we get a subpoena in court, which we have to then read it out. Because if I have to, we'll go to court and then it won't be so confidential. But right now it is just for us, and not just the streets committee, but the members of the board who are elected, to see how this was dispersed. And I also know that there's some political things that went into it, because people told me, oh, well, you can just get this way. I don't want to get it a certain way that goes politically. I want us to write a good procedure that's fair to all the citizens in the city of St. Louis, and that they have, per our criteria, everybody has a fair way. And if you put stuff online and you know that seniors or poor people don't have the ability to go online and apply for things, then that's hard on them. I remember them coming after they got criticized. They then went to Forest Park, and the people in North St. Louis said, hey, that's too far for us. And the member of the mayor's staff says, well, just get on the Metrolink and ride over here. And the lady came on TV and said, we don't have Metrolink in North St. Louis. 30 years ago, they promised, I'm still here, the original person, that they promised to put Metrolink on Natural Bridge, but we don't have Metrolink. And the mayor's staff, she didn't even understand we don't have it, okay? And so then they brought it up to Wohl, and I think they may have brought it up in the 27, but I know they brought it up in Wohl, and they said, we're gonna be open 3 or 4 days. Okay, they didn't bring it there.
They didn't bring the 27, and Wohl, did they shut it down?
And in less than a day after they said, oh, we're gonna have it for 3 or 4 days, and I sent this stuff out to people saying it, and then they got in line and they said, oh, we have enough, and they shut it back down. Well, that makes it very hard for me to explain to our people and for them to believe things. Trust everybody and brand all your cows. Verify, verify, verify. And that is what we are charged with doing. So anybody who wants to take this as an attack, that's on them, because this was never an attack. This was always just gathering information, because I wanted to give out more money, and I voted no on the last round of money. And I'm not going to vote for any kind of money like that until we get the data about how it is being dispersed. And is it being dispersed in the way we intended? And can we improve what we're doing? Anybody else? And I want to say the Alderwoman from the 13th also made a very good point when she talked about we have a limited time to spend this money. So I don't want to spend time fighting about it or whatever. I want to get it spent in a way that the citizens are being rewarded for being citizens in the city of St. Louis. All our seniors have been here for so long. They never get tax abatement. They never get anything. We give the very wealthy stadiums and tax abatement and TIFs and all this stuff. And we're supposed to also take care of our seniors, or just, there are some people who work and they're just barely on the line between poverty and making it. I want those people to feel like they're part of the situation where we can help them too. So mine was just to try to figure out what we had done and how we could do it better when I originally started asking back in May or June. Anybody on or off the committee that's an alderperson have anything else they want to put it? Anybody? Okay, so this is what I want to do, and you make a decision. Let me see if we still got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6. So what I want to do is I want to make a motion that I send a letter over to Adam Lane one more time, requesting, I'm going to put it in paper now, not on an email, requesting that he give us all of the data pertaining to the $500 payout that we authorized in July of, I want to say 21, and that we want the original data now. I don't want anybody's filtered data. And then per your request, Mr. Vice Chairman, I'll let him come over here. But I want to let him know that if he does, in this letter, I want him to know that if he doesn't present it to us, that we, the street committee, will take the next step, and we will do a writ of mandamus to get it. Is anybody opposed to that? Okay, all in favor of me sending the letter? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? Ayes have it. I'll send a letter, and I will invite him over here. We meet next week, and so he already knows. They're watching this right now. And again, this is like, to me, just being very foolish. And he's a very smart young man, and I like him a lot. And I don't think this is him, but I think he's trying to be loyal to the wrong party at this point. He is elected. Okay, so we'll go back to now to the board bills. And Mr. Vice Chair, I have board bills before us. So I would ask you to chair the committee.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. And
All
the
right,
first
you
one I
wanna-
have, Board Bill 133.
All right, we have going to place before the committee, Board Bill 133. Madam Clerk, could you please read Board Bill, the introduction of Board Bill 133?
Board Bill number 133, introduced by Alderwoman Sharon Tyus. This bill directs the Director of Streets to install speed humps to calm the flow of traffic on the 4,500 through 5,400 blocks of Geraldine, the 5,000 through 5,200 blocks of Thekla, and the 5,200 through 5,400 blocks of North Euclid in the Mark Twain neighborhood, the 4,800 through 4,900 blocks of Lee, the 4,900 block of Farland, and the 4,900 block of Margaretta, and the 4,000 through 4,300 blocks of North Euclid in the Penrose neighborhood, the 5,100 and 5,200 blocks of Ashland, Lexington, and Palm, and the 3,000 through 3,400 blocks of Geraldine in the Kingsway West neighborhood, the 4,700 and 4,800 blocks of Ashland, and the 4,700 block of Lexington, the 1,600 through 2,800 blocks of North Euclid, and the 2,900 through 3,400 blocks of North Euclid, and the 3,000 to 3,400 blocks of Shreve in the Kingsway East neighborhood. It contains an emergency clause.
Thank you. You're recognized on Board Bill 133.
Mr. Vice Chair and members of the committee, Board Bill 143 is
33.
I'm sorry, yeah, 133 is a board bill that puts speed humps in. I have 4 major neighborhoods: Kingsway East, Kingsway West, Penrose, and Mark Twain. And pretty much on most residential streets we have put speed humps. This is about the end of all of the ones that we haven't done. And I want to say it has been the most successful program since I paved all the streets in all my neighborhoods when I was a new young person back in the 90s, 95 and 96. This has been the first time, and I don't know when we did not get any reports of anybody speeding through and hitting cars, somebody getting hit, a child, animals. It just really has helped. Is it perfect? No, we still always have people who want to test it. And we had a young lady a few months ago this summer at the corner of Queens and Harney. Harney has speed humps and Queens. And she decided she was going to run down, not Queens, I want to say Ruskins. She was going to drive down Ruskins very fast. And she did. And when she hit Harney, boom, that car flipped over. Now she was all right. They got her out of her car and everything. She was all right, but she got in trouble because she was speeding, and the residents came out and they helped her and everything, but they are tickled pink at how successful this program has been. They thank everybody who has voted for us to do the speed humps in the first place. And I'm thankful because for a lot of years, I have triple streets. Some of these streets, none of these that are in here, but in my Kingsway West neighborhood, I have streets that are 50, 51, 52, and they're the first places that I put speed humps. And they don't have a break, so there's no cross street. So when you hit Kings Highway, there's no cross street to break it up till you get to Union, or if you come down Union Kings Highway. And that really helped stop all of that traffic. And I even got young people calling me saying that I was hurting their cars. And I would say, sweetie, what did I do? And they said, oh, you're dragging our mufflers. And I said, well, I can fix that. How? Slow your roll. I wanted to say it in your vernacular. Slow your roll, okay? If you slow down, you could be hitting somebody, or you could be hitting somebody's mother, child, animal, property, all of those things. And I didn't have this for the first time as we've added speed humps. So for me, it cost a lot of money, but it's well worth the lives and the enjoyment, the quiet enjoyment that I'm hearing from people, because people are avoiding those streets and go into major streets or secondary streets to drive on instead of cutting through the residential property. And I'd ask for a do pass recommendation for Board Bill 133.
All right, thank you. Are there any questions for the members of committee? All right, hearing there are no questions, I entertain a motion to pass out Board Bill 133 with a do pass recommendation.
So moved.
You gotta turn your mic off.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded,
Previous role.
and a request for previous roll. Any objections to previous roll? Hearing none, Board Bill 133 passes out of committee with a do pass recommendations.
Thank
Congratulations.
you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome.
Did I get a hand being the first time I ever came before Streets?
Not this time.
All right, the first time when I was on Streets Committee, Mary Ross was the chair in 1991, okay? So,
Wow.
and then after that, for a long time, Freeman Bosley was the chair and I was his vice chair, so just
That's
a little
what's
history. Okay,
Long time. All right, now we have before the committee Board Bill 144, I mean 134. Madam Clerk, would you please read the introduction of Board Bill 134?
Board Bill number 134, introduced by Alderwoman Sharon Tyus. This board bill directs Director of Streets to prohibit parking and or standing on the west side of North Euclid between St. Louis Avenue and Ashland, and the east side of North Euclid between Ashland and Natural Bridge, and requiring the director to post signs. It contains an emergency clause.
Thank you. You are recognized on Board Bill 134.
thank you. Mr. Vice President, members of the committee, Board Bill 144 is
34.
I'm
Like them 40.
35. I don't know why I want to go to 40. It's
34.
134. It is a direct request from my community in Kingsway East. We have a property that used to be Echo's Children's Home. It was a wonderful place. And it really should be a children's home now, but in fact, charter school bought it, and then they have Covenant House in a school. So the two need to change, because when you have a home like Covenant House, the children have no place to be and they don't have any green space. And Echo's Children's Home was a wonderful place. They had green space. They had places for the children to go to school, a gym. We built extra buildings and it was wonderful. While I was out of office, it was disbanded and closed down, and a charter school bought it. And when the parents come to pick up the children, no matter how many, no parkings, whatever, they block the street and they will not move. And I have talked to the parents, and we send I don't want to keep sending the police up there. They can pick their children up. They have a round circle off of Kings Highway that they can go in and do that, which would not block the streets. So they park in everybody's space, they block the streets. So we're going to the next thing, which is to make a no parking and no standing. And they can go into from Kings Highway, or they can pick them up on Kings Highway. We actually have 3 schools that have a Kings Highway entrance. Hawthorne picks their children up. We have a New City Academy. I have 4 schools in my ward, by the way. And then we have North City. And so all they have to do is either pick the kids up on Kings Highway, which I would even put barriers up, and so that they will make sure the kids are safe, or they can just go in the gate and there's a circle drive. They could pick them up there. But for their own convenience and the inconvenience of the neighborhood, they illegally park and stand and just will not let the people go by. And so this is the next step to make them understand that they cannot be there.
Thank you. I think that sounds great. Very thoughtful. Though, does any other members of the committee have any questions or comments? Alderwoman Schweitzer.
Thank you. I guess my question is this is a specific group of people who continues to stand in a certain place? I mean,
The parents.
okay.
And
And
they-
it's just not safe for them because it's on a road and you're worried about them getting hit by a car.
And it makes it so nobody can get by during the time, and they double and triple park. And there are actually houses on that street, so they're irritated because they won't even let them come home. One of the past directors, I called and talked to her. I spoke to her, but they just kind of shrug it off. And it's already, I think, no parking signs up there. So we're doing no parking and no standing. And, post it more. And I'm gonna send them another letter because they absolutely have an ability to just drive into off of Kings Highway, and they got a circle drive up in there, and that's much safer.
Mhm.
And I don't know why they don't do that. They haven't given me a reason.
Got it.
But my school, Hawthorne, they're very good. They pick up on Kings Highway, and they're right at Kings Highway and Co-Brilliant. And it's a charter school also, and they do a wonderful job. They put the cones out there. They have some parents and teachers out there. They have a time that you pick up, and it's very orderly, and it works. And I even told them that they should contact Hawthorne to learn what they were doing.
So it's just mostly a safety thing.
Yes.
Got it.
All right, any more questions or comments from members of the committee? All right. You recognize to close on Board Bill 134.
Mr. Vice President and members of the committee, I'd ask for your due pass recommendation of Board Bill 134.
All right, entertain a motion on passing out Board Bill 134 with the due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Second,
Second,
It's been moved and seconded.
previous
Previous
row.
And request for previous roll. Any objection? Hearing none, Board Bill 134 passes out of committee with a due pass recommendation. Congratulations.
Thank you.
All right, now we will take up Board Bill 135.
Board Bill number sorry.
Go ahead, we'll put that before the committee. Thank you.
Board Bill number 135, introduced by Alderwoman Sharon Tyus. This board bill pertains to commercial semi-trailer trucks, also known as semis or tractor trailers, trucks, prohibiting such traffic during certain hours on Kings Highway Memorial Boulevard from the north boundary of Lexington Avenue to south boundary of Dr. Martin Luther King, exempting from said prohibition emergency vehicles, including privately owned tow trucks when providing emergency service to non-commercial vehicles and vehicles with a gross vehicle weight of less than 26,000 pounds. It contains an emergency clause.
Thank you. You recognize on Board Bill 135.
Mr. Vice President, members of the committee, Board Bill 135 tries to address a problem that we have that was created even more so and exacerbated when we redid Kings Highway back in 1997. We got new medians with, if you ever drive down Kings Highway, our median's about 3 or 4 inches tall. But they did not do the curbs along Kings Highway. So we have had, as recently as in November or October, we had a person get killed at my corner of Maffin and Kings Highway because we absolutely have no curbs, just very little curbs that along the sidewalk portion and the tree line. And so what happens at the middle of the night, we have these trucks that are driving through like a bat out of hell. And they are shaking people's houses. They are running to the fences, trees. If you come to my street right now, there is no, there used to be 2 decorative lights, and it's at my corner, at my house. Young man was driving a truck in a car twice and hit and knocked that thing all the way off. First time the truck bumped it, and then the young man came and just knocked it all the way off. So we do have money that's in that holding pattern to redo the curbs. But until that time, late at night, especially, we don't have police. And so for some reason, the big trucks come through late at night. They're causing a big problem. So, and they're gonna kill somebody. So we're just asking for them not to go onto Union, which is a wider street, because we got that median. And so that's a wider street, and just during the nighttime hours that they drive on Union, then if they need to, they can come back on Kings Highway. But the part between Martin Luther King and I-70, and then between I-70 and West Florissant is residential. It is all residential, with the only thing that we have commercial is that Salamas gas station, which is not supposed to be there. I'm sorry, from Lexington to Martin Luther King, because we have a post office and we have a little commercial strip up on Natural Bridge, but from Lexington to Martin Luther King, we have a Salamas gas station, and that is really a nuisance. And other than that, we have a little strip mall, and they close down at 8 o'clock. There's no reason for trucks to be there in the middle of the night, except for to drive as fast as they can. And so in order to, I've asked Kent Flakes to put some of those Shamo pots, but they seem to be on back order. I even called Chris Carter, who is our purchase person, back this summer and asked him when would they come, because we're actually going to put them up against the curb, much as the Alderman from the 27th has done on, I want to say Goodfellow or Riverview. Okay. And so I thank you, Alderwoman. So I'm just asking for them not to be driving on the street until we can address this problem because my neighbors are always telling me to come see where somebody hit their fence or hopped and knocked a tree down or whatever. And there's no police at night at all.
That's unfortunate. Definitely always appreciate your efforts. Is there any members of the committee who has questions or comments? All right, hearing none, you're entertained to close.
Mr. President, members of the, I'm sorry, Mr. Vice President, members of the committee, I renew my request that Board Bill 135 be passed out with a due pass recommendation.
All right, I entertain a motion on passing out Board Bill 135 with a due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
It's been
Previous
moved and seconded,
row.
and a request for previous roles. Is there any objection? Hearing none, Board Bill 135 passes out with a due pass recommendation. Congratulations again.
Thank you.
Alderman Bosley, I just want to say you're a very good student because you're really handling this well. I'm trying to take notes from you.
Thank you. I appreciate that. I learned from the best. Got a chairwoman up there.
I feel like a teacher.
Oh, you are.
Okay,
You always teach.
thank you.
Yes, ma'am. All right, now we'll place before us Board Bill 136.
Board Bill number 136, introduced by Alderwoman Sharon Tyus. This board bill prohibits parking of commercial semi-trailer trucks, cabs for semi-trailer trucks, or the cargo or flatbed cars of a semi-tractor trucks, also known as a semis or tractor trailers trucks on Kings Highway Memorial Boulevard or on parking lots and or property abutting Kings Highway Memorial Boulevard from the north boundary of West Florissant Boulevard to the south boundary of Dr. Martin Luther King, exempting from said prohibition emergency vehicles, including privately owned tow trucks, when providing emergency services to non-commercial vehicles. It contains an emergency clause.
All right, thank you. You're recognized on Board Bill 136.
Thank you, Mr. Vice President, members of the committee. This is my last board bill. This board bill addresses an issue that we have at the corner of St. Louis Avenue and Kings Highway. Salamas super gas station nuisance property. He always has to try to do something that is not in accordance with the law. So he's had this big tractor trailer truck bed sitting up there for 4 or 5 years. It's got graffiti on it. The people hang out, they drink. He's not supposed to have signs, and people are living in it and they're harassing people. And my community is very upset about it. And really, there's no reason for it to be up on there except for he's thumbing his nose at us because he is not a good corporate citizen. And so we had to, we already have some laws about semi and things, but I wanted this to be an extra emphasis about that Kings Highway Memorial Boulevard is not North Kings Highway. We actually made it on Memorial Boulevard back in the early, I don't know what, 20s, 30s. And we planted trees, and that's why Kings Highway Memorial Boulevard has the median. So from Martin Luther King to West Florissant, that is not North Kings Highway Boulevard. That is Kings Highway Memorial Boulevard. And we made it and we planted that beautiful median and we put trees in it. And it was used to have little plaques that were a tribute to the soldiers that had died in the wars, and someplace along the line they took that all up. I think that's horrible. I'm wanting to reach out to some federal people to see if we can get it designated back as something like that. If not, we're going to make plaques for some of the famous, because this is like mostly African-American community. We have a lot of famous Black people that come from this community. So we're talking about planting some trees because our trees are getting back big again. We had them cut down back in the 90s, so they back big, and we want to do a memorial for people like John Bass. several of the first Black aldermen who were on this board were Republicans, but they lived in the neighborhood. The Smiths, Robin Smith and Chris Smith and Wayman Smith all come from the neighborhood. Roberts come from the neighborhood. So we have a lot of famous Black people. So if we can't get the designation back for the soldiers, and I would like to have both, we also want to put little plaques on the trees as a tribute to thank those people who came before us and who made our neighborhood a great place to live. And we do not want to see tractor trailers sitting up there, because while he does that, he lives in West County, and he ought to be ashamed of himself to be so disrespectful. And I know you've had an encounter yourself, Mr. Vice Chairman, with going up into that store. It has no business. And I actually have a law that says it can't be there. And now that I keep asking, how is it there, since we had an ordinance says no gas station? The Michael Garvin runs from me because there's something that's very strange about how they did that. But in the meantime, we want this tractor trailer removed from that property, and we want all those people hanging out drinking, which when Salamis used to be on Euclid, it was the same problem. And now they let him move, the Board of Adjustment let him move up to Kings Highway and St. Louis Avenue, and there's people hanging out all the time and drinking and harassing people. And so we want to make sure that that one enticement of a flatbed tractor trailer is removed. And it's not a flatbed. I don't know what it's a cab. It's not the cab, it's the cargo part of it, right?
Okay, so it's enclosed.
Yes, it is. And they sleep in there and act a fool.
Wow. Yeah, that is unfortunate. I mean, I would think the building division would probably respond to that pretty quickly with enough calls, because that's not supposed to be happening.
They have done that, but nobody's done anything. It's been there 4 or 5 years. And so now I am back up and feeling better than I have in a long time. And so that's why all the bills, things that has been on my desk now are coming out, okay?
Yes, ma'am. Well, you look great.
Thank you. Thank
You're
you.
welcome. And I'm glad you're feeling better. So do we have any questions from members of the committee? Any comments from members of the committee about Board Bill 136? No? All right. Well, you are entertained to close.
Mr. Vice President, members of the board, I request that Board Bill 136 be passed out with a due pass recommendation.
All right. I entertain a motion to pass Board Bill 136 out with a due pass recommendation.
So moved.
Second.
Previous
Been
rule.
moved, seconded, and a request for previous roll. Do we have any objection? Hearing none, Board Bill 136 passes out with a due pass recommendation. Congratulations on getting all your board bills out. All of them were about safety. Let's do it.
Okay, and I'll take it.
Safety in the street.
That's correct. Sometimes it's those little things that really make people want to stay in your community, okay?
That's right.
Okay, so we did everything that I can understand that we got done, except for Alderwoman Marlene Davis is going to come before us next week. Is there any other things that need to be brought up before the committee? Alderman Vaccaro.
I'm sorry, yes. You know, and I've been looking into this only because the Post called me, and you know, what I'm finding is that, like in the case of my sidewalks, I'll just say, and my speed humps that are not being done, it seems like I'm being told that the treasurer's office somehow, and this could be wrong, okay? But what I'm being told is that the treasurer's office is not signing these things.
Is it the treasurer or the comptroller?
I'm sorry, the comptroller, I apologize. At the comptroller's office, these things are just sitting there and not being signed. And that's why you're not seeing a lot going on in the city. Well, the Post called me yesterday about it, and I told them they really need to check with the comptroller. But I'm hearing that when I'm reaching out to different people going, why isn't the stuff going on in my neighborhood? Why are these sidewalks, $200,000 in sidewalks? That's my ward capital. Why are these things just like hanging out? And I'm sure that's happening to different older people also. So I would say we need to have the comptroller come in and address this, because maybe I'm very wrong, and maybe the rumors are very wrong. But I'd sure like to know what's going on.
Okay.
So I would ask that we bring the comptroller in next week. hopefully we'll have the chief of police and the new chief and Dr. Iserman, the public safety. I know if we think this meeting is gonna go long, next week, please let me know and I'll try to either make my meeting later or see if the clerk will move me to a different day than on Wednesday, but I really believe.
Let me say this, if they're coming in, I also want my resolution about the nuisance property. Hey, if they're gonna come in, that'll save them having a different trip. They can address both.
That's right, and anytime you want to hear that.
Right.
Do you think next?
Well, if we're gonna bring the
I'd like
comptroller
to have
in,
the comptroller come in, but if you think it's gonna be a long meeting and you think I should move streets around, I think
you should move public safety, because I think it's gonna be a long meeting. If we're gonna bring the comptroller in, plus we're gonna bring in streets and Nancy Cross to talk about this public works money. So I think that's gonna run long.
And
so
the treasurer.
Right, so I will ask the clerk to see if I could be moved to Tuesday or moved to 3 o'clock. I hate to, no, because we got a lot, that meeting's gonna go long. I'm
right.
gonna see if the clerk's on this, or Tracy, can you talk to the clerk for me, and let's move public safety to a time so we have enough time to actually have two good meetings. Seems like two real important meetings coming up.
You want it on a different day than
Yeah,
Wednesday?
different day. It could be Tuesday, it could be whenever we will have, he needs to get the chief and Dr. Iserman. I want to put Sharon Tyus, or Alderwoman Tyus's a bill in there, and
Resolution.
a resolution,
about the
I'm
nuisance.
sorry,
Right.
resolution in there.
And we need Sue Phelps.
Okay, and so we would like Sue Phelps in also. So if you can convey that to the clerk, I would appreciate that.
So noted.
And I have no other question. That was my two things I needed to find to get done.
Okay.
Could we combine those meetings, public safety and streets, because it's public safety and streets are the issues, correct?
But we
The
can't,
new-
we have a lot of stuff that just pertaining to streets on this, okay? So it will be, and it'd be too long. We'd be 5 and 6 hours. This is gonna be a long meeting on next week on streets.
We might, and with all the people that may want to talk to the new chief, if we combine them together, it could be, you figure if each alderman, 28 aldermen, and some people from the public even speak for 4 or 5 minutes, that meeting could be, it could be really long.
Alderwoman from the 4th?
Yes, thank you, Madam Chair. I received a letter that approved speed humps for Taylor, and they said I need to have a board bill. So what do I need to do to progress on that?
So you did, you remember you were supposed to get back with me. Just tell me, email me over where you want them on, Taylor, and I'll get you a board bill.
Okay, all right, great. Okay. That's it. Thank you.
Okay. Anybody else? Anything else? So what I have is we're gonna have the treasurer. I'm gonna call the comptroller and find out if that's true, first of all, before we bring her before us. Because I found that room 200 puts it on everybody except for room 200. I got the treasurer, the comptroller, Nancy Cross, Bethany Williams, Kent Flakes, and also BPS,
Richard Bradley.
Rich Bradley, right?
If I can add this real quick, I will say this. I've heard, and this is from a few different sources, just so we come to the comptroller in a way where maybe she understands what the angle really is. Been hearing that they are on a new system, and this new system has created a lot of different issues that were not they weren't thought about. Whenever you transfer them from one thing to another, you have issues and problems. So with that, they've been kind of balancing things back and forth from the old system to the new system and trying to streamline, but it's just been a pain. So, with that, if that is what's going on, I say we come to her like that, and maybe we could talk about that system if that's what we all just need to get more information on, if that's what it is. So I just want to throw that out there.
And she's not the only one. I'm hearing that from a lot of other departments, the sheriff's office and other things. Also, thank you for reminding me. I want to bring up, a lot of people complain about towing. Our tow lot is full. The last time the director of streets was here, she talked about that. We talked about using the workhouse as a temporary parking facility because it's right down the street from towing. She said she didn't have anybody to guard those cars. So I did reach out to the sheriff, and I'm going to send her, as soon as I get off of here, I'm going to send her an email, because the sheriff, I talked to Vernon Betts, and he did say that his people, he could arrange a contract with the city for them to do secondary. And I'm hoping that they will do that so that we could park the extra cars until we figure out a way to get some of these cars off our lot at the tow lot. I mean, at the workhouse, because that's right down the street, and it's got guarded parking and everything else. It's got fenced in parking, or even the part that's not. It would be better than leaving all these cars in front of people's houses, because I'm getting complaints from all across the city, north, south, east, and west, about cars not being towed. So that's what I'm going to do, and I'm going to CC all of you all the email I sent to the director and to the sheriff, asking if they would please sit down, and Nancy Cross, and see if we could work out something where we could have the sheriff do secondary to guard the cars, the extra cars that they park, and that way they won't have to be in front of people's houses and businesses. Anybody have any objections to that?
No.
No, I appreciate it.
They have a challenge with drivers and to even tow the cars. Because I called the tow lot several times. They only have one driver. So they're challenged with that too.
Right. But at least when we get them towed, we don't want them just left in front of people's houses
Right.
for 5 and 6 months.
Right.
So if we can use, and I'm going to drive out there, if we can use the former workhouse and for their parking space, then I say we do it. I know when we went out to the tow lot a year and a half ago, they talked about, at that time, Kim Flake was talking about trying to buy another lot, but we lost that opportunity. And we're going to have to, if we're going to have that many cars, we're going to have some space to tow them to.
Boy, all the land we got in this city, they better not buy a lot. We better not spend a dime on acquisitions. No.
Just the land, you gotta have the nexus, it gotta be close enough, you gotta have somebody to guard it. So if we can
Right.
already use property that we already own, think about that, that's right down the street from it, that's a win-win situation. And we got a sheriff's office who we have people already trained, that's three-way win, okay?
That's right. Whom we need to fund a little better. We don't go in that today, but we do.
Okay, is there anything else that we have not touched on? I'd entertain a motion that we adjourn.
Oh, we want to stay until tomorrow.
I'm sorry, what did you say, Alderman Vaccaro?
I was making the motion, but so was Alderman Boston.
All right, so we moved, all in favor of adjourning? Aye.
Aye.
All opposed? We are adjourned. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This is a wonderful committee. I really enjoy it, and I'm glad to see everybody back. Thanks a lot.
You too. Good to see you.
Be safe out there, everyone.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am. You too.
don't forget, Alderwoman from the 4th, give me that where you want your speed humps.
Sure.
Okay.
All right.